What's going on YouTube? In this video I'm going to give you some video and picture sample clips taken with the Sony WX50 camera. If you want to see a review of it, you can check out the link at the ending of this video. And basically what I'm going to do is show you some sample clips even at nighttime, picture and video. I'm going to show you... Oh, my cell phone is going nuts. I'm going to record some video in various modes and lighting scenario. I'm going to take pictures in a few modes that come preset in the camera. There's no photoshopping, there's no video editing involved in this video except for the introduction, which shows the title of my channel, and the outro, which has the video links for other videos in my channel. So there's no editing on the clips. Everything you see is taken with the camera exactly as what's built in. So I'm going to take some pictures with my favorite functions built into the camera. And yes, this camera does record at 60 frames per second. However, what you're watching right now is only 30 frames per second because once a video is uploaded to YouTube, it caps it off at 30. I'm not sure why that is. It's a bit of a shame, but whatever. If you want to see a sample clip at full 60 frames per second, so exactly what you're paying for if you were to purchase this camera, I will upload a video. You can download that video file. It's in the description below. You don't need anything special. Just play it in Windows Media Player. Do not play it in VLC or some other program, because programs like VLC, they can only play at maximum 30 frames per second. And I'm not sure why that is. Whereas oddly enough, Windows Media Player, which is the most basic media player of all, can play back at full 60 frames per second. Okay, so do check that out. Believe me, the difference between 30 and 60 frames per second is huge. And I'll be recording some fast-moving objects with that. So let's get into some sample pictures. This is enough of the video, you get a rough idea. And then I'll show you some pictures and videos taken at night. Okay, so what I'm currently doing is recording some nighttime footage for all of you. This is in maximum zoom right now. And as you can see, some objects are showing up a bit too bright with the headlights oncoming. For most of it though, I'm seeing everything look great on the LCD screen. It's showing up really clear, just as I can see with my own eyes. YouTube will only handle 30 frames per second. YouTube does not allow more than 30 frames per second uploads. It caps it at 30. I'm recording this at 60 frames per second. It looks a lot better in person. So YouTube is not giving you the full smoothness effect as I'm seeing right now on the LCD screen as I'm recording. So what I'm going to do is actually take a picture with the light streak effect, which I'll leave the shutter speed at a slow setting. I believe the shutter speed will be open for about 3 seconds. I'm going to show you that right now so you can get an idea of what it looks like. It looks pretty nice if you can play around with this on the camera itself too. I'll just take a picture and you'll understand. I'm going to stop blabbering now, okay? Alright, so in this segment, I'm recording this video at 60 frames per second. Although if you're watching it on YouTube, you won't see anything too special about it. And the reason being is because anything that's recorded at 30 frames per second or higher, when you upload it on YouTube, it'll play back at 30 frames per second. It's a limitation of YouTube. It caps at 30 frames per second. So basically, you won't see what exactly I'm talking about. For those of you that have downloaded this clip, and you watch it on your computer, you'll notice that when I'm spinning around, it looks a bit too smooth. Like it's kind of being fast forwarded slightly. And the reason for that is because the human eye is not used to seeing 60 frames per second, at least on a screen. The technology is really old. It's been out for decades and decades. It's just Hollywood hasn't adapted to it. They haven't adopted it too much because audiences decades ago just didn't like it. They thought it was a bit too smooth for their eye. And to prove that this clip is not actually fast forwarded if you downloaded this file and not watching on YouTube is that you'll see from my lips the audio is not at a sync, so the clip is not fast forwarded at all. So this is what it looks like. This is the full potential of 60 frames per second. You're just getting everything a lot smoother. And the odd thing is, if you try playing this with an advanced program like VLC Player on your computer, for some reason VLC Player caps off at 30 frames per second as well. Oddly enough, Windows Media Player plays it just fine. It plays back the full 60 frames per second, which I find really odd because Windows Media Player is the most basic of media players available. So it's an MTS file type. Windows Media Player should be able to run it. If not, find a codec to play MTS files on Windows Media Player and it should work just fine. And there was someone walking by. He probably looking at me, thought I'm talking to myself right now. Thought I'm a weirdo. So anyway, yeah, try to use Windows Media Player to play it back. Don't use VLC or something else. It just won't play 60 frames per second. Windows Media Player will. So it's just a demonstration. And the funny thing is, if you're watching this for the first time, you probably think 60 frames per second when I turn around is too smooth. Like I said, it's going fast forward mode. If you put this exact clip back on YouTube after watching the 60 frames per second, the file, you'll think that the YouTube version, which is 30 frames per second, is actually lagging, like it's too slow. That's because your brain has already slowly adjusted to 60 frames per second and how smooth the picture is moving. So do give it a shot. If you're watching this on YouTube, try to download the file. I assure you there are no viruses. Yeah, watch that file, then watch the YouTube version again, which is this clip you're watching right now. And you'll see that there's a big difference in smoothness from left to right. If I had more moving objects, like I had some cars driving by, you'll notice that they move smoother on 60 frames per second. Obviously this person's slowing down, so you won't get the full effect, but you get the gist of it, right? So I hope this helps explain what 60 frames per second is and what kind of great quality is that people need to start using and accepting because it's superb. Right, so if you found this video useful, check out my website, hit the like button, it does help, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.